Doing? Sorry, it's dark in here. It's what time is it? I don't even know what time it is. Uh, Here on the west side of Phoenix, Avondale, Arizona, and I just wanted to check in for a public transparency watch, basically. So, if you've been following my story, I have been going through the Maricopa County court system since January 4th of 2018, 3 weeks after I uploaded a video of organized stalking and harassment taking place. And if you're not familiar with my story, just go to my website, barredin.us, barredin.us, and that's the quickest way to learn about what happened to me and what I've been fighting with for almost, you know, well, that's been 2 years now. But I've known, excuse me, I've known that this is going on. This has been going on for about 3 years since April of 2017. Started documenting in November 2017. So I was convicted of a crime, of a felony, disorderly conduct, class 6. So in Arizona, disorderly conduct is a felony, and I was put on probation for 2 years. Uh, when I was in court, at the last time I was in court, sorry, I'm trying to turn my lights on here. Okay, I guess those are just off.
Sessions. Hey, this is Bethany from Best Coast.
What the heck? Why won't you turn on lights? Oh, well, that's interesting. But anyway, there we go. I'm gonna get myself a little more light here. Uh, I was going through the court system, or an electronic ankle monitor for 1 year and 8 months. Jason Goodman flew out from New York to record in the courtroom. We went through all the proper channels to record what was going on in the courtroom to try to have some kind of transparency. And long story, you're just gonna have to go back and listen to this, to the story, the videos where I talk about this. It's all on my website. And I got sentenced about 6 months ago. I believe this is my sixth or seventh visit to see the probation officer. I have to go at the beginning of the month, every month, pay a fee, and sit down with the probation officer. And it seems like every time I go in there, they require some kind of new information from me. There's some kind of information about myself that I have to pull up. This month it is employer verification. So I run a business. I have for like the last 10 years, and the probation officer's been to my house, seen my business. I talked to him about it before, but now he wants proof that I run a business. So they'd like to run me through these hoops. But one of the things that happened when I was in court at my last hearing, I had previous to that, I basically got tricked into signing a plea deal before I knew anything about exculpatory evidence, or if I knew that I could file a motion to compel for that exculpatory evidence. I was never told by my attorney what the motion discovery was. I had to find out through people on YouTube, through social media, what my rights were. I paid this attorney over $30,000, and the guy lied to me intentionally. Like somebody paid him more than I paid him, and I found out all of these standard operating procedures that attorneys usually practice that he did none of. So after I thought I had no hope at all, because I thought I was just screwed basically, I signed that plea deal and then learned all of this information later, and realized, you know what, this guy has been bought and sold, and I need to handle this myself. So I tried to, I filed motions. Well, I fired that attorney, ended up with a public defender that would never call me back, gaslit me on the phone, played street theater skits on me over the phone, used directed conversation, etc., etc. Fired that attorney because he was doing that, and then ended up with another public defender and tried to just show up with him and speak for myself, because that guy was worthless also. Uh, and I just had to learn how to file motions and speak for myself in court. And when I would try it, the judge would basically tell me to shut up, that the attorney was there to speak for me, yet the attorney would say nothing to tried to fight for my case. So uh, the last sentencing date, I went in. I had requested to drop the plea deal and go to a trial so I could file a motion to compel for exculpatory evidence, which were the body cameras of the Avondale Police Department, which there were 11 or 12 officers that showed up to the scene. There's proof that they wore body cameras at that time because there was body camera footage of them searching my mailboxes for some reason. So the only person that they say had body camera footage was the person that was searching my mailboxes, not one of the 11 or 12 police officers that are in the motion discovery that showed up to a report for a firearm, which makes absolutely no sense at all unless they're trying to hide something. If they weren't trying to hide something, they would have given me the body camera footage or the vehicle video footage, which is Brady material, the same thing that General Flynn is being that's being withheld from General Flynn, or when he got the Brady material, they're not allowing it to be seen in court, which is proving that these are partisan courts and that they are either paid off or they are blackmailed somehow into working for the deep state, working for the communist left, and or working for the pedophiles, the people that are responsible for some of these gang stalking programs that gang stalk and psychologically torture victims of that, or whistleblowers, or all kinds of different people. If you're watching my channel, you probably understand what a targeted individual is. You probably are one. If not, again, go to my website, bardin.us, BARREDIN.us, and check that out. The first two videos on my website will basically give you an explanation of what a targeted individual is, who is targeted, what types of people, and some of the standard operating procedures, techniques, and tactics that are used against targeted individuals. First two videos. First one is mine that I put together with the help of John D'Souza, former FBI agent, 25-year special agent in the FBI, retired. Left the FBI when James Comey became the director, Cardinal Comey, they called him. So that video will explain what a targeted individual is. The second video will explain some of the technology that's used to torture and harass targeted individuals. So anyway, backtracking, that last day in court, when I requested to have the plea deal dropped, because I had filed a formal complaint with the Arizona State Bar against Mark J. Victor because he did not zealously defend me as it states in state and federal attorney codes, laws, statutes, whatever you want to call them. I labeled those statutes. It's like 15.1, 17 point something. It's been a while. I don't have them memorized because I'm not an attorney. But I stated those in my complaint to the bar that he did not zealously defend me and that I should have a right to file a complaint against him and recuperate the payment that I paid to him because he did not represent me properly. And they basically said, "That's your opinion, Mr. Barden." When it's not my opinion, I stated these facts. How he misrepresented me, stated the state and federal laws that he violated. On the sentencing date, I requested, again, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I requested that the plea deal be dropped and that I be given a chance to go to trial, to be judged by 12 of my peers. And I was denied that right on my sentencing date. The judge said, "Nope, I'm sorry, you're not going to trial. Your only option is to sign this plea deal." And the attorney did absolutely nothing for me. I was just like, "Well, what do I do?" He's like, "You just got to sign it." And I still wonder what would have happened if I would have said, "Oh, I'm not signing it." If they would have held me in contempt of court, thrown me in jail, I'm not sure. I'm left hanging, basically. They made sure there were no witnesses in the courtroom. They made sure that they saw everyone before me, and that I was the only one left in the courtroom. So there wasn't anyone around to see what was going on. Um, when it was time to sign the plea deal, they had an electronic signature box. Like when I used to own my farmer's insurance agency, whenever we sold an insurance life insurance policy, you would have the people electronically sign. But the documents would come up on the computer screen, and I would be able to print those documents out, so the purchaser of the policy would be able to read through that policy and decide if there was any terminology that needed to be explained to them, if there was anything in there that they didn't agree with. We could go over that, and then they could make their decision to electronically sign. So they had in court, they had this electronic signature box, and they told me, go ahead and sign here for your plea deal. And I was like, okay, I have literally had people sign hundreds of these, and I don't recall anyone ever signing it before they read the paperwork. Some of them, I just explained to them what was in the paperwork, and because I explained it to them properly, they trusted me. They went ahead and signed it. Other than that, they always wanted to read the paperwork before they electronically signed. I wanted to read the paperwork before I electronically signed it, and I was advised that the way the system works is that I have to electronically sign this box, otherwise the paperwork won't print out. I know, well, I don't know. I'm assuming that they have that big, beautiful courthouse. They have federal courthouses all over the place. They're brand new, shiny, beautiful construction, spotless clean. They probably have newer computers and newer computer systems that have the ability to print out those forms, so the person that is signing the paperwork that is signing the paperwork has the opportunity to read the literature in the plea deal before they sign it. Nope. They made me electronically sign the box, the paperwork printed out at the first probate. Oh, and I was also told that I have copies. Somebody said you should ask for copies. I have copies. I was told that but whether I have copies or not, it was too late once I signed it. They lie to you. They basically trick you into signing something, and then they go, "Oh, sorry, you signed it. Maybe you should have had a better attorney." When they're all working together in this kangaroo court system. I told the judge, and I was going to make a stand in court and just risk it. And I told him, this program that I've been put through, this psychological and physical torture program that I've been put through, is designed and built around the Minneapolis multiphasic inventory. And he did not deny that was a fact. All he did was correct me in the fact that it is the Minnesota multiphasic inventory, not the Minneapolis multiphasic inventory. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, okay, I got the word wrong. It was the MMPI, 600 question test, that if you state in that test that anyone is following you, if you know who's responsible for your downfall, a couple different questions in there that are completely set up for this program, or this program, doctors, lawyers, strategists sat around and looked at this test, and they said, how can we make people look crazy? Well, let's make sure if anybody follows them and they answer that, we can say they're delusional or schizophrenic. When people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people have complained about this exact same thing, and they're not having mass delusion. So I told them, I'm not signing this plea deal if you're going to demand that I take a psychological evaluation, because I already know that's the mark of death, pretty much. Because once they evaluate you, nothing you say in court, nothing you say if the police show up, nothing is valid, because they're going to use that. They're going to look you up on their computer system, and they're going to use that just to make life easier for themselves, or to give them leverage, just to be, I mean, you could point at this wall in front of me. This wall in front of me is brown. I could be having a conversation with one of the people that are participating in these weaponized systems and tell them, that wall right there is brown. And they'll say, oh, you're delusional. I don't know what you're talking about. So they'll use it to gaslight you and just to keep leverage over you and frustrate you and try to get you to act out in aggression when they use that leverage against you to completely violate every human right that you have and gaslight you. So I was told that I wouldn't have to take this psychological evaluation. Actually, I was told that the probation officer will evaluate me and decipher whether I need to be psychologically evaluated or not. And at the time, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself from previous videos, but this is something I have to do. At the time, I thought to myself, how in the world is a probation officer trained to evaluate somebody on probation and decipher if they need to be psychologically evaluated or not? Do you have to have a bachelor's or master's in psychology to be a probation officer now? I have no idea. I've never dealt with this in my life. I've never seen a probation officer, never been in trouble with the law like this. Driving stuff, when I was younger, when I was around 20, that's it. Other than that, nothing. So get to the probation meeting and the guy says, okay, you need to go get evaluated. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I got set up again. I got lied to and I got set up again. They're putting me through this weaponized court system because somebody told them something. I'm a terrorist. You need to do this because we have leverage over you. You will get paid somehow. You will be indemnified for your trouble and your lies. However they do it, I don't know. But I know that I've been completely robbed of my many, many human rights. So now, after I've been going to this probation meeting every month, paying my fees on time, sitting down with this probation officer, running me through street theater skits, when I bring something in that's positive to my case, like when the lady was being racist here. They set up a street theater skit and they were trying to get me to react. She was being racist and called me a white piece of shit and then filed a restraining order against me. And I took her to court and proved that she was lying, and then she was reprimanded by the judge. And I have court documents that prove that. So anytime that you have contact with police, you are required to let your probation officer know what that contact was. So when I let him know that I had contact with the police, that I went to court, he said, okay, well, you're going to need to bring in that paperwork. And I brought in that paperwork. Guess what? The printer just happened to be broken that day, and they couldn't record that in my file. So I took pictures of it and I text messaged it to him. So for posterity, everything that they won't accept for me that shows positive light on me, I make sure I text message it to them. So I've got a record of that. The NSA's got a record of it. It's stored at the at DIMOC, Fort Meade, Maryland, the Defense Information Management Operations Center, where I went to school. Actually, I went to the Defense Information School, DINFOS, at Fort Meade, but DIMOC is where I used to caption an session and send the media that I would create, photos, video, etc., when I was in the Air Force. So I know that the stuff is stored there. I'm not 100% sure that that's where our all of the things that are collected by the NSA is sent. It's just an assumption that it's either sent to DIMOC at Fort Meade, Maryland, or the center in Salt Lake City, Utah, the two largest data collection centers, where they disseminate information to the fusion centers, which there are multiple fusion centers in each state all over the United States. All right. So for the last 6 months, I've been going to these meetings, and every time I go, I'm required to be there between 9 and 11 at the beginning of the month, like 3 to the 3rd to the 5th, somewhere around there. This month, it's on the 7th, which is tomorrow. But this month, they have changed the time, and I'm supposed to be there at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Now, the way that they do this between 9 and 11 is when everybody's told to come in there, and everybody just shows up at different times, and they see everyone. And I believe that since 11 is the last time that they get there, they probably they process people, they go through their meetings, and go over everybody's information, do the same thing they do with me after 11 o'clock till noon. Now, after that, everybody clears out, and there will be no one there except for me. Now, I'm in a federal courthouse when I go to these meetings, so I cannot record. If I do, it's a federal crime. I can't document anything that's going on. So I'm basically helpless when I'm in there, and I cannot prove anything that they do or say because my First Amendment rights are being taken from me because it's on federal property, which is a violation of the Constitution. Um, because I have not gone to this psychological evaluation, before I left on the last meeting, I was forced to sign another document. Every time I'm in there, they write something negative about me, and they won't let me leave unless I sign it. And I can't afford an attorney to take in there with me every time. So, I'm screwed. I just have to, like, if I don't sign this stuff, I don't know if they're going to put handcuffs on me and take me away or what the deal is. So, knowing that I was going to file this motion to go back to the court to have the judge amend my probation responsibilities, I went ahead and signed this thing that said I violated my probation, and I should not have done that, but I had no other choice. They were basically holding me captive, wouldn't let me leave unless I signed it, and basically had me under duress, threatened my freedom. If you record, somebody asked how did it become a federal offense. If you record on federal property, it's a federal crime. It's not technically because it's unconstitutional, but they've made a workaround where if you film in a post office, if you film in a federal courthouse, they can arrest you for filming for privacy or something. I don't know. It's if you watch any kind of auditor videos when they try to record at the post office or they record at federal courthouses, they arrest them. Not always, but sometimes. I'm on probation. They would find a way to arrest me and just take me. They're trying anything at all because they don't want me to go back to court and prove what was happening, because a lot of people would be held responsible. So what I'm doing is just putting this information out there to let people know what's going on with me. I'm asking for help. I would love it if I could get an attorney like Sidney Powell. That's kind of expensive. Nobody really sends me any money for my journalism. Now that I finally started getting paid on YouTube after almost 2 years of documenting. After 2 years of documenting, I finally got paid. My first paycheck was $170. That was for like 2 months. I'm getting anywhere between $60 and $100 a month making my YouTube videos with 6,000 subscribers and about 1,000 views on my videos every time that I make a video. So that doesn't help too much. I've chiseled away at all my bills. All I do is pay rent, gas, groceries, insurance, the electric bill, utilities, the phone bill. That's it. And I'm barely making it. So affording an attorney right now is really not an option for me, unless some philanthropist out there saw what was going on, could listen to me and hear what I'm talking about and understand that I clearly know what I'm talking about and that I'm being completely screwed over here after serving 15 years in the Air Force, and send me some money for an attorney. Not many attorneys will take on these cases pro bono because they know they might not win because this program is so huge. A lot of people involved in it, and a lot are just afraid to get targeted. They're part of this system and they understand what happens to targeted individuals. So I'm basically fighting this on my own. So anyway, I go to this meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to make a video before I go in, and I'm hopefully going to make a video when I get done and let everybody know when I go to court to speak with the judge regarding the motion that I filed regarding conflicting information. I posted photos of that motion because paperwork seems to get lost, and if I don't have proof beyond the shadow of a doubt that I've actually done this, then they'll just say they lost the paperwork. So I took a picture of that motion, tagged a couple people in it, and I took a picture of the timestamp of when I actually filed that motion. So I should be able to make a video tomorrow after I get done with this probation meeting, explaining what happened and when I go back to court next time to defend my rights. That's it. That's it. All right, I'm here at the batting cage. My daughter's been in there hitting softballs here for a little while, waiting for me to go in there and hang out with her. But I had to do this video. I wanted to get it done before the end of the night, just in case there's anything that went on tonight between now and tomorrow. Usually they ramp up the stalking, the harassment, the setups, all that right before I have an important date, and that's it. I know I was talking really fast. I'm a little fired up over this right now, and pretty passionate about it. There's a lot going on right now, and a lot happening in the world where corruption's going down, and I see some hope. I see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't feel like it's a train light. So I'm going to keep pushing forward. Thank you for everybody listening to me, the 40-something people that are here. And please, if you do happen to shackle me up tomorrow, don't forget about me. Make phone calls. Message John D'Souza. Message Kevin Ship. Karen Melton Stewart. The Anons. The QAnon. Put hashtag QAnon. People out there know who I am. Message General Flynn. He just followed me on Twitter last week. Jerome Corsi. J.D. Gordon. At Real J.D. Gordon. Former spokesperson at the Pentagon that got targeted by the same people that did this to me. Please, if anything happens, I'm hoping nothing happens, but I have to do this just in case. And I have to get the information out to as many people as possible to make sure that I've got better odds. All right, everybody, good night. And if you're just getting here, definitely go back to the beginning of this. There's some good information in there if you're going through any kind of court process. This isn't legal advice. It's just information about my court appearance, but it could help you if you're going through something like this. So, all right, good night. Love y'all.